Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of my 10-part video series, the 10 things that every pastor needs to know or possess / work on in order to be a pastor. Remember that one time in episode 1 when I said, every pastor needs to be someone who's personable. Someone who can talk to people, someone who can relate to people. So yeah, I wanted to revisit that idea, how I mentioned I would come back to it. And the idea is about a pastor being someone who's personable. I didn't really expand on that last time, and so I wanted to spend the time doing that today with you guys. And how I want to talk about that is I want to use a few different biblical example, and I wanted to show you kind of a magic trick at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my deck of cards right here, and I'll show you the magic trick in a different view. The character I want to talk about from the Bible, his name is Joseph. He can be found in roughly the last 20 chapters of the book of Genesis. I'm going to use a magic trick using these 3 cards here, these 3 jokers. Just to verify, you guys can make sure. We got joker number 1, we got joker number 2, and you got joker number 3. Okay? So you got 3 different jokers here. We're going to pretend that for this first part of the story, we have Joseph, and then we got his brothers here, and a pack of, there's 6 packs each. So what I want you guys to do, I want you to focus here on his brother. Joseph goes out to the field and tells his brothers they're going to bow down and worship him. Now, from a personable trait, that's something that you never want to say to anyone. Regardless of if you're in the position of being a pastor, or if you're a brother, or if you're a servant, you don't want to go around boasting your position and your ability. So imagine that this is Joseph. We got one of his brothers, and we got another pack of his brothers there. Okay, so we're going to take the first pack of his brothers here, and what I want you to do, I want you to focus, right? Here's what's going to happen. We got Joseph over here. We got him interacting and mixing with his brothers, okay? So their brothers are together, and we got Joseph on top, because of course he's boasting about his ability, right? And what's going to happen in the future, how they're going to bow down and worship him and serve him. What kind of effect do you think that's going to have on someone, if that's the way you communicate with them? For the purpose of this story, let me just show you, as you communicate with them, and you boast about other issues in your life, what's going to end up happening is that you're probably going to flip them over, right? They're going to end up changing positions. They're not even going to relate to you. They're probably going to get mad at you. They're going to get pissed off at you. And so that's not what we want. What we want as far as someone who's personable. The result of that action is that his brothers gang up on him, betray Joseph, and sell him into slavery. So he's over here. His brothers are over here. Fast forward the story a little bit further, okay? Joseph gets sold into a chief executive in the kingdom of Egypt. His name is Potiphar. And Potiphar is someone of great importance, someone who could easily have Joseph killed, murdered, anything like that, right? So through Joseph's interaction with Potiphar, he builds his way up slowly and slowly and slowly up until he becomes the chief servant of Potiphar's servants. So he's basically the person giving out the orders and commands and different daily routines and handling all the business of his master. Potiphar trusted him so much, and Joseph worked his way up to that level so that Potiphar would trust him. What I'm going to show you here with the same exact 3 cards and the same exact trick, I want you to pay attention this time, is that we have Potiphar over here, and just imagine that we have Joseph over here, okay? Both these guys will be Joseph for this example, all right? So, as Joseph has interacted with Potiphar throughout his time, what ends up happening is that rather than flipping Potiphar over and making him upset, Joseph's being personable with him is able to communicate with him and change him. Check it out right here. So as Joseph has interacted with Potiphar and not his brothers, rather than flipping Potiphar over, what ends up happening is that Potiphar actually changes. What I mean by that is the story that we have in the Bible is Potiphar's wife, who accuses Joseph of trying to rape her, trying to sleep with her, trying to molest her, and Potiphar, being a man of Egypt, and Joseph being a servant, could have easily killed Joseph. He could have had him beheaded, he could have had him dragged out to the streets and embarrassed, but because Joseph's interaction with him, as far as being someone who's personable, as far as being someone who's relatable, as far as being able to read a situation, he changed Potiphar. And Joseph wasn't well off, He didn't not suffer because of that, but because of that, he didn't lose his life. As I was talking about being someone who's personable, I want you guys to take from this video that being personable is more than just being able to read a situation. It's also being able to, as humans, and if you're looking to be a pastor or you are a pastor, being able to humble yourself and being able to talk to people. The goal is not about winning a conversation or winning an argument or proving that you're better. The whole point of being a pastor is being someone who can advise people, who can lead people. The Bible uses hundreds of different examples of leaders, and one of the continuing examples that's reused all the time, Jesus himself uses it, is that of a shepherd. A shepherd doesn't need to be someone who's able to necessarily swim 1,000 meters, right? A shepherd doesn't have to be someone who can play basketball. A shepherd doesn't have to, be able to excel in math. But what a shepherd does needs to be able to do is relate to the sheep, be able to comfort the flock, be able to gather the flock back. And that's what I mean, is that shepherd is personable. Now, we're all called to different areas in ministry, and we're all called to serve in different places of the world. But this video and this series is meant to help anyone, anywhere. Thanks for tuning in, guys, to episode 4. Tune in next week for episode 5, when we talk about